Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another morning forecast here by Age Weather Forecast. As you guys can tell, it's going to be another update on this potential major severe weather threat out here throughout many areas in the South Central and even parts of the Mississippi Valley. So we're going to be continuing to look at the new updates on this. We have a level 3 enhanced risk, which was actually there was a 50% really yesterday, but now we finally have an enhanced risk for the exact same areas that got affected last week, and we also have a very widespread threat for hail, winds, and a threat for some tornadoes. So we can't rule out the possibility for tornadoes, damaging winds, and very large hail. But if you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, guys. I will have another update this afternoon on the severe weather, and if I have to, I will have a triple upload on this. We already have alerts on this, and we're already seeing these very strong squall lines and severe pop-up severe weather already starting out here in the South Central. This is going to be an all-day threat. But without further ado, let's get in this video. So this is my new map that I made just a couple minutes ago. I just finished it. So this is what I think the SPC outlook will look like by the next update, really. So, and I think tell our area of focus really is going to be southeastern Kansas, southwestern Missouri, and northeastern Oklahoma. That's definitely where we have that very good threat. For really our main threat in these areas is a hail threat, which is our biggest threat, and then the winds is our second biggest threat, and then tornado seems to be our least or our smallest threat. So areas into southeastern Kansas, southwestern Missouri, northeastern Oklahoma, you guys are definitely need to be on the lookout for some potential really strong events out here, and potentially maybe a couple tornadoes. One or two are likely today, if not maybe around 3 or 5 tornadoes are likely. But of course, we also have that widespread threat with the slight risk. We could still be seeing very widespread, smaller sized hail. Still going to be seeing some damaging winds that are severe weather related and non-severe weather related, and going to be seeing really bit of a really smaller and a really minor threat for tornadoes and a slight risk. Some areas don't even have a risk. But this is what I think that the SPC will look like by the next update. So Joplin, Tulsa, Miami, Florida, or Miami, Oklahoma. You guys seem like you guys could be in the risk for really some strong severe weather events. But without further ado, let's get into the models. So we're going to go ahead and look at the National Weather Service because, like I said, we already have alerts out here for the South Central. So here we have a bunch of severe thunderstorm watches and severe thunderstorm warnings, even some severe weather statements out here. So in this widespread kind of this color right here, this is where we have severe thunderstorm watches throughout much of western and parts of southern Missouri and much of eastern and northeastern Kansas. That's going to be including areas like Joplin, including areas like Kansas City. And we also have scattered areas in Topeka, Kansas, Manhattan, scattered areas as well into southwestern Missouri, where we do have a bunch of severe thunderstorm warnings here. We're going to be seeing very powerful bands, like I said, already developing. Eastern Kansas looks like they're going to get hit the worst as of right now. These very strong potential squall lines likely that are going to be in multiple waves, as you can tell, multiple pop-up storms as well. So we have widespread severe thunderstorm watches, so you still need to be on the lookout if you're under a watch. And most likely we'll be seeing a lot more states being added to the severe thunderstorm watches, like Oklahoma and potentially likely Arkansas and Illinois will be next. So this is what we're seeing right now in the National Weather Service. So let's go ahead and check out that radar right now so we can actually see these powerful bands just on the current radar right here. So this is very powerful bands, as you can tell. Looks like we have multiple supercells right here, multiple pop-up bands as well. We do have potential squall lines in some of these areas. So this is a very large area of focus here with multiple bands, as you guys can see. And seeing that widespread threat as well for all the way into northeastern Oklahoma and parts of Arkansas, and this is where we're seeing the worst of it as of right now. That's why I think the slight risk and maybe the enhanced risk will be extended a bit more to Kansas with these very powerful bands now. That's going to be heading in areas south of Kansas City. That's going to be heading down towards the western Missouri area, and we even see that widespread rain threat and maybe some severe weather with a thunder or two in the northern plains. Now into today's outlook here. This is a new morning update. So this is where we have, of course, our area of focus right here, this enhanced risk. So as you can kind of tell, my map's kind of similar. I just kind of extended this enhanced risk a bit more, and also the slight risk. I think it's very likely Kansas and Missouri will be extended a lot more into this risk because they'll get hit really hard. So as of right now, here we have that widespread slight risk as well. So we have a slight risk in those areas that had an enhanced risk yesterday. So back at again 2 days in a row. We're not going to be seeing an enhanced risk for these areas, but Still going to be seeing back-to-back severe weather events, severe weather throughout these areas out here into the Mississippi River. And then this is the exact same areas that got affected last week where we had that moderate. So this is all of these severe weather events are happening in the exact same areas where we've seen the previous somewhat outbreak, because last week was an outbreak, but this seems to be a bit on the kind of smaller side of an outbreak. This seems to really be kind of just a severe weather event other than an outbreak. It doesn't seem like it would be an outbreak, but of course there is, we still have yet to get through all of it, so we can't really say that yet necessarily. But of course, those areas in the enhanced risk are where we'd be seeing the area of focus. So they have extended out, of course, this a 5% chance for tornadoes, a bit more now into Missouri. So our highest chance for tornadoes is a 5% chance. Like I said, this risk for tornadoes is a bit on the lower side necessarily, like really, it's kind of been on the lower side. So really, our tornado threat isn't extremely high, but there's still a risk. Of course, you can't rule out the possibility for tornadoes in these areas. We've had multiple tornadoes in areas that don't even have a risk whatsoever. So even if you're in the 2% chance, you still have to be on the. You can't rule that possibility out. You just still want to be on the lookout because you still have a chance. So of course, in that 5% chance, you definitely need to watch out a little bit. So that's going to be throughout those areas that are in the enhanced risk or just outside the enhanced risk. Like I said, hail threat, really high risk. We have a significant severe risk. So this is already showing you that we have a really big threat for hail. It's at a 30% chance. That's going to be throughout areas into northeastern Oklahoma, the far northwestern tip of Arkansas, and just in those areas that are in the enhanced risk in general. But we also have that widespread significant risk as well. So as you see, hail seems to be our primary threat. A very large hail, and then winds is a bit lower, only a 15% chance, but still going to be seeing some strong, non-really severe thunderstorm winds, but also going to be seeing those really strong wind gusts that are severe weather related. So you can't rule out that possibility for seeing possibly 50 to maybe 60 mile per hour winds in some 50 60 mile per hour wind gusts in some bands. So still going to be seeing very powerful winds in some wind and some storms. So you also can't rule out the possibility for seeing some damaging winds, because it's very likely we'll still see those damaging winds. Now, as we look into the NAM3KM model, here we have, of course, the next couple of, within the next hour or so, we have that very widespread threat for rain and just in general severe weather throughout the north central plains and central plains. But of course, our area of focus is going to be Kansas, with these very large, possibly pop-up supercells with all the energy here in these areas. And also, we now have finally a defined low pressure system that's now going to really strengthen these systems or these bands as they move later today. Really in the kind of the early afternoon hours, we're going to see these really strong bands going straight through western Missouri, and also looks like really powerful bands going straight through the areas near Kansas City. Going to be heading into near Jefferson City and St. Joseph, and then we have the potential for a very large squall line. So we'll definitely see some large hail and really fast winds and damaging winds with this, because also we have that incoming cold front, so it's definitely a possibility for it to be forming in that cold front. And that severe weather risk now moves a bit more later into tomorrow now. In the overnight hours, we'll see that risk now into areas into the Ohio Valley, seeing that risk for southern Illinois, southern Indiana, and we see the potential for really heavy rain and potential severe weather for Kentucky and also the Virginias and parts of the Mid-Atlantic. Now, as we get into the South Central, of course, we have that possibility for severe weather right now into Kansas and Missouri. And then we have very strong pop-up storms by later tonight for the South Central. So going to be seeing a little bit of delay for these bands here, but also going to be seeing some decent wind shear and also very high Cape Valleys. So these high Cape Valleys is definitely going to give that very high chance for multiple pop-up storms throughout Oklahoma and Texas. So very large linear bands moving into the areas near Paris, Texas, moving past the Gainesville, Texas area, and possibly bring some heavy rain, maybe some really strong winds, and maybe decent sized hail for our areas just north of Dallas. And then that risk has died down a little bit by, of course, tomorrow morning. Now, as we look into the GFS here, the HRRR, this isn't the most accurate radar, but I feel like we could also just use it to have another set of hands, or another kind of ideal, some more ideal information, so we can also see what other models are showing. So same thing with the HRRR, still seeing these really small pop-up storms that are going to be obviously quite severe, and then that scattered area for some pop-up storms as well into the Dakotas, and seeing mainly just a heavy rain threat. As we get later, of course, these bands are going to continue to strengthen and also double in size as they do move eastward into Missouri now. Also, possibly seeing some scattered showers throughout Nebraska and Iowa as we continue over the day. And then we'll have that very large pop-up linear band. Could potentially be a squall line or QLCS that possibly moves throughout Joplin, Tulsa, Miami, and then they'll hit parts of Arkansas. And then we have that risk for areas in Tennessee, Kentucky, even the Carolinas. So that is why we have those that marginal risk very widespread all the way into the southeast. Now we're going to be looking at the Cape values, and they all obviously Cape is we need a lot of more things than just Cape. We need all the ingredients here other than Cape, but Cape values are very impressive here, and obviously we are going to be seeing a lot of overday heating and wind shear in some of these areas, so that could possibly bring that threat for very large pop-up bands and very strong and powerful. So as of right now, energy is very limited. Not seeing much really overday heating, of course, as we are in the morning hours. Not seeing much ingredients, humidity. Not seeing, obviously not that much. So we are seeing only some 2,000, some higher 2,000 joules per kilogram. That's going to be a decent amount of energy to start off the day. As we now get later into today, this energy does increase a lot more with the overday heating, seeing a lot more humidity. We have the defined low pressure system here, so we're going to be seeing a lot more energy. Usually, this is obviously not rare at all for the South Central. We're going to be seeing some high 3,000s and maybe the far lower 4,000 joules per kilogram. As you see, we have a marginal severe weather risk here, so decently severe weather to start off the day. And it seems like we are going to be starting off with some significant hail. Of course, tornado risk is maintained on the lower side for at this point in the day for the South Central. So tornado risk is very low. Seems like we are going to be starting off with just very large hail and possibly some winds. But look at this. This is now into the overnight hours. So this is really, really late tonight into early tomorrow morning. Look at this right here. Very significant Cape values here. Very, very high. We are going to be seeing now possibly some mid and high 5,000s. Of course, we have that obviously that hazard for tornadoes, but it seems like it will be on the lower side, possibly, mostly, we could see some lower side tornadoes, of course, but we can't really predict how big or how strong they can be in from the future right now, obviously, until we get the survey of the damage. But it seems like we will be seeing some, if we do see tornadoes in these areas, we obviously could be seeing some decently strong tornadoes if we do have touchdown tornadoes, which is most likely. And then it seems like we also have that very big risk for significant hail with that significant risk. But obviously, if cap does break, let's go ahead and take a look at the caps here as well. But of course, we have really high Cape values. Seems like Cape is isn't extremely weak, but we are seeing on the weaker side. So it does seem that we obviously with weaker caps seems like we could obviously have that possibility for some strong bands to develop. We are going to be seeing obviously that cooler air in the higher atmosphere, so that warm air locked obviously isn't stopping that development of severe weather. So it seems like we are seeing a bit on the weaker side of cap. So that could possibly really not strengthen the process, but obviously keep the process going, not putting the process to a halt. And then by later tomorrow morning, that those Cape values do go down a lot. So does the energy. Now we're looking at the supercell composite parameter, the SCP. This is basically measuring just in general a bar of the likelihood of seeing supercells, which supercells, of course, to bring in very large hail, damaging winds. Could obviously be have hook echoes, so rotation, and bring a lot of debris, and obviously potentially bringing tornadoes. So really anything higher than 20 on the SCP in general is a very decent or a very high risk for seeing supercells. So starting off today, later into the early afternoon, we already have a 33 on this into areas into southern and central Oklahoma. That is a very good likelihood or very good possibility or probability of seeing some supercells developing. Doesn't necessarily mean the supercells are going to bring in tornadoes. It's just a likelihood of just supercells in general. Then the energy does die down later today, and then we do have a bit of pickup by later tomorrow. So it seems like in the really the overnight hours into tonight and tomorrow morning, seems we'll be seeing the most amount of energy in the South Central, which means a possibility for some overnight supercells, overnight QLCSs, and possibly overnight tornadoes. So This is actually be very, very impressive numbers. We're going to be seeing 44 we're going to be seeing these 40s on the SCP, which is almost a guaranteed risk for seeing supercells. Of course, obviously, you can't really see in the future necessarily that you are going to be seeing supercells in it, that especially you can't guarantee the exact location. But based on this, we are going to be seeing a very good chance just based on this. But this is a guarantee. So it is obviously showing significant hail. And obviously, it looks like Cap is getting a bit stronger. So it is showing the possibility for seeing severe weather developing, or thunderstorms developing into tomorrow morning is getting a bit on the lower side. So isn't looking as likely to see these bands continue to form. But obviously, it's still not very strong Cap. So that's, as long as we don't have very strong Cap, then we still have to be on the lookout, of course, for some strong bands and even higher numbers as well in Arkansas. So that's why Arkansas is in that risk. We have a moderate numbers for tornadoes as well. Significant hail, not necessarily showing anything. Of course, we have that possibly for tornadoes, and looks like Cap is a bit stronger for Arkansas. So of course, it looks like we could possibly have a little bit of a lower threat into tomorrow morning for seeing severe weather or thunderstorms developing. But of course, it's not really super strong Cap, so it's not necessarily going to obviously halt the whole process, but it's getting a bit stronger as we continue to go on. And then as we get later on into later tomorrow, of course, then the SP does go a lot lower, and we see very strong Cap. So it looks like it does cap out by, of course, tomorrow morning. So definitely risk for development is going to be minimizing as we continue into the overnight hours, or into the or tomorrow morning. But it does seem like we do have the possibility for very strong thunderstorm development as we get into the evening hours today, as you saw on the radar, and as you saw in the Cap, and as you saw in just everything adding up. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Let's go ahead and check out another look at this National Weather Service, just to go ahead and see if we have any new extensions to these severe thunderstorm warnings. I believe we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning now for Arkansas. That's including areas into the far northwestern part there. So we have Muskogee, Tulsa, McAllister, and Miami, of course, in these areas of the enhanced risk. So as of right now, nothing really extremely new, but we are seeing these severe thunderstorm warnings and watches extending a bit more as well. I hope you guys enjoy the video, and bye, guys.